Okay, I'll read it word for word. Primary hypertension, yeah, blood pressure. Hypertension, it's the tension of the vessel, okay? Is right. Primary hypertension cannot be cured. Yeah, there's that thing. Can't be cured, sorry. But it can be controlled to prevent complications. A thiazide diuretic is often the first drug given to treat high blood pressure. Diuretics cause blood vessels to dilate, right, expand. Diuretics also help the kidneys eliminate salt and water. Salt and water, interesting. Get rid of that salt and water. Decreasing fluid volume throughout the body and thus lowering blood pressure. Okay? To me, if it does indeed, if these diuretics not only get rid of the water and the salt, but they actually open up, force the vessels to dilate and open up more, what's that going to mean to your body? That's going to force your body to shunt off more capillaries. Anybody seeing what I'm seeing? I mean, doctors need to get embarrassed because, you know, the emperor has no clothes. This is ridiculous. This is insane. Okay? Wake up and get educated if you're a doctor, please. Okay, sorry. Okay, and I'll give you another story. I had a friend, and she ran this little ethnic market, and she was so excited she got pregnant. She and her husband, they'd been trying for years to have another baby, and unsuccessfully. Anyway, I remember she came out, and she was like brand new pregnant. I didn't even know her that well, but she came out and hugged me. She was all excited, you know. I was like, well, yeah. So then I go and I go to America for a few months, and I come back, and you know, by this time she should be about 7 months pregnant or so. And I go into the store and I see her husband there, and I'm like, oh, hey, how's your wife doing? And he just looks down and he's like, not very good. And I said, why? What happened? And he said, we lost the baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, why? What happened? And he said, she had high blood pressure, and the doctor gave her a medicine, and they gave the wrong medicine, and she went into a coma and lost the baby. I mean, I just lost it. I was like, I mean, you just heard me just a second ago. I mean, I get passionate about things. I mean, I was so mad. I was so angry because I know this is just madness. We don't need to take these drugs. And I thought, you know, if she had known what I'm saying right now, she would know that she just needed to increase her water. I mean, when you're pregnant, you're building another person, mostly of water, plus your amniotic fluid. I mean, you got to have that water and salt. And you know, and I said to him, I said, what did the doctor say, you know? And they said, well, you know, these things happen, you know. It kan gebeuren. That's what they would say in Nederlands, yeah. It kan gebeuren. It can happen. And I was like, yeah, it can happen, you know. And I can't help but think back to that statistic that I mentioned in the last, you know, in the introduction. The third leading cause of death is iatrogenic related. Okay? So spelled out so clearly here. Hey, by the way, there's this wonderful website, called Quackwatch, and every single natural alternative to healing is completely made fun of, thrown out. He calls Dr. Batman Khalij silly. Shame on this man. I don't know how this guy sleeps at night, because he's helping to kill people. Because I know when people learn of these things, they're going to go want to check it out on their own. They should. You should. You should check out what I'm saying. I mean, you know, you can check it out with your own body if you've got any issues, or somebody you know. Obviously, water's not going to hurt you. You know that one. So that's an easy one to check out. But other ones, people sometimes will go to the internet, and almost invariably that website comes up first for every single natural remedy. And he just bashes it as ridiculous. And he's quite intelligent, but he's used his intelligence for evil. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's evil. I don't know how these people sleep at night. I mean, really. I mean, I just consider them soulless. Okay, sorry. I rant, I rave, I'm sorry. Okay, let's just finish this up with a real-life example, a testimonial of somebody who applied Dr. B's simple solution. I'm sure Quackwatch would call this anecdotal, right, to try and belittle it. Anecdotal simply means, you know, it's your and my experience, and that's not in a scientific report, and somehow we just throw that out as unimportant. Well, bunk in my book. Um, Okay, here's a testimonial. Dear, let's see, it's dated 1993. Dear Dr. Batman Khalij, I have just ordered another copy of your book on water, having given a son my first copy. I tell everybody about it and my experiences. Perhaps you would be interested. My first son, Charles, 58, who lives with me, is deaf and autistic. I take him 3 or 4 days a week to a facility for the handicapped. They had been taking his blood pressure there and notified me that the doctor said he should go on medication. His blood pressure was 140 to 160 over 100 to 104. I had just received your book and asked the doctor to let me experiment for 2 weeks. Reluctantly he agreed, but warned me that it was very dangerous. I kept Charles home and used the water routine, also adding a little magnesium and potassium. 2 weeks later the nurse took his blood pressure, and it was 106 over 80. She said, "The doctor will be in shortly." Evidently the doctor didn't believe her, and he checked it himself and had to admit it was so. He didn't ask me what I did, so I didn't tell him about the water. Basically that's about it. Anyway, she says, "Thank you for your work that you are doing. It is much needed. More power to you, Marjorie Ramsey." So, that's just one of many, many examples of real life people. That's just you and me. Don't discount our experiences. I think that's what we need to come back to. Okay, we need to start recommunicating with each other, and internet is a wonderful, wonderful tool for that. Okay. Here's another one. Okay, cholesterol. They claim that it comes from eating animal products. Well, in a sense, we're kind of animals too, right? So if animals have cholesterol, obviously we can make cholesterol. And cholesterol is okay, though it can cause unhealthy situation. It's here we go again. It's the maggot on the grandpa's legs. Just because the cholesterol is there does not mean it was the cause of the problem. The cholesterol came in to help because excuse me. When our body is in a state of dehydration, cholesterol is called in for cells. Interesting. Okay, there's 2 kinds of cells, one that has nucleus, one that doesn't. Ones that have a nucleus call for cholesterol to surround the membrane, to help maintain the water in the cell. It's like we can't afford to lose any water, okay? So we got to put this little kind of waxy substance around ourselves to protect ourselves from losing any water. Excuse me. Cells that don't have a nucleus use fatty acids. Okay, now it's kind of a long description of how these actually lay down on our brittle, dried out arteries. But this cholesterol and these little fatty acids, they lay down on the artery walls as well. As the cells rush past, it kind of gets brushed off of the outer side of the cell, and then you get this layer building up inside the arteries, or even the little vessels and stuff. So the answer to this is to drink water so that your cell can relax. And just quickly imagine your little cell, because it has to take in nutrients, right, from the outside. Let's say you eat something, you take something good and healthy for you. It wants those nutrients and things to come into the cell, and then it has to expel its wastes. So when it's got this waterproof shell now protecting it, just because it's so desperate not to lose its water, it's no longer a very efficient cell, now is it? I mean, it no longer can get rid of its waste, and it's having trouble taking things in. The whole situation is bad, but it's a situation of desperation to just hang on to the water, because water is so critical. Yeah? Does that make sense? So the answer is to drink your water again, and then your body will relax and go, oh, okay, we don't need to make all this cholesterol anymore. Now we can start breaking the cholesterol down and getting it back out. We don't need it anymore. We got enough water. Hey, our master woke up and is doing right by us now. Okay? So I'm not going to read the whole, there's a testimonial of one man. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there was this one guy, and he had high cholesterol, up there at 280 or something, and he changed his diet, and he brought it down a little bit, and actually brought it down to like 220 or something like that. But he had a pretty strict diet that he stuck to, and it wasn't down enough for him. And then he met Dr. Khalij, and he He learned what he was supposed to do, and the doctor told him, you don't really have to concentrate so much on what you're eating, but do this. Before you eat anything, half an hour before, I want you to drink 2 glasses of water before every single meal, yeah? And feel free to use your salt, yeah? And so this guy was like, really? I don't have to, like, eat all this, boring food that I've been eating?